Nha Trang, Vietnam, a coastal paradise known for its pristine beaches, vibrant nightlife, and towering oceanfront high-rises. For thousands of tourists, it is an escape from reality. But for one man living in a building on Pham Van Dong Street, it wasn't a holiday, it was a hideout. This is the story of Huang Yue, a 29-year-old Chinese national who thought he could outrun his past, only to find that the long arm of international law enforcement had been tracking his every move. To the outside world, Huang Yue was just another young expatriate blending into the multicultural flow of the city. However, back in China, his name was on a very different list. Huang was identified as a key member of a massive transnational criminal organization, specializing in fraud and property appropriation. The timeline of his run began in August 2020. As the People's Court of Yiwu City, Zhejiang Province, prepared to drop the hammer with a decision for his arrest, Huang vanished. He slipped out of China, leaving behind a trail of victims and a legal system demanding justice. For over a year, Huang managed to stay off the radar. But international crime requires international cooperation. On November 23, 2021, the stakes were raised. Interpol issued a red notice for Huang Yue. A red notice is not just a request, it is a global alert to law enforcement worldwide to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition. Huang was no longer just wanted in Zhejiang, he was a marked man in 195 member countries. The break in the case came when intelligence reached the Khanh Hoa Provincial Police. Through cooperation with international partners, investigators narrowed down the signal. The fugitive wasn't in a remote jungle or a bustling metropolis like Ho Chi Minh City. He was hiding in plain sight in northern Nha Trang. Surveillance confirmed his location, a specific building on the busy Pham Van Dong Street. On August 2nd, the waiting game ended. Khanh Hoa police units moved in. The operation was swift, professional, and strictly adhered to Vietnamese law and diplomatic protocols. There was no escape route this time. The 29-year-old fraudster was taken into custody, ending his 3-year flight from justice. The capture was only the first step. The final chapter of Huang Yue's time in Vietnam concluded hundreds of kilometers to the north. In a solemn procedural exchange, the Investigation Security Agency of Khanh Hoa Police transported Huang to the Hu Ni International Border Gate in Lang Son Province. There, at the borderline, he was successfully handed over to Chinese police. For Huang Yue, the vacation was over. He was heading back to Zhejiang to face the charges he had run from years ago.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really high-stakes international manhunt that, believe it or not, ended on the coast of Vietnam. This is the story of how global cooperation brought a wanted fugitive to justice.
So the big question is, how does an internationally wanted criminal actually get caught in the net in a place like Vietnam? This case is just a fantastic look at the intricate web of international law enforcement and, the powerful tools they use to close that net on criminals no matter where they try to hide.
Okay, so our story actually begins not at the start of the crime, but right at the end of the chase. We're talking about a successful arrest in the beautiful coastal city of Nha Trang.
And get this, on August 2nd, 2025, the Khanh Hoa Provincial Police announced they'd captured this guy, Huang Yue. But listen, this was not just some routine arrest. Oh no, this was the final chapter in a chase that spanned continents and really involved law enforcement agencies from all over the world working together.
So they get this critical tip from their international partners, and the Vietnamese police, they just zero right in on his location in Nha Trang. He was hiding out in a local building, basically hiding in plain sight. But to really get why this arrest was such a big deal, we need to understand who this guy was and what he did.
All right, let's peel back the layers here. To really get the significance of this arrest, we have to take a closer look at the man at the very center of this whole international manhunt. Okay, so who is Huang Yue?
He's 29 years old, Chinese, and he's not some lone wolf. Nope. He was a key player in a huge transnational fraud organization. And we're not talking about some small-time operation here. This was a syndicate that specialized in large-scale fraud, leaving a whole trail of victims across multiple countries.
So how does a crime that happens in one country suddenly trigger a global manhunt? Well, the answer lies in this really powerful tool that international police use, and it's called an Interpol Red Notice.
Okay, so what is a red notice? It's basically a request to law enforcement all over the world to find and provisionally arrest someone pending extradition or some other legal action. But, and this is super important to understand, a red notice is not an international arrest warrant. Interpol can't just force a country to arrest somebody. Think of it more like a global alert, a request for cooperation that puts police in 196 countries on the lookout for this one person.
Now, this timeline is really revealing. Check this out. The court in China issues an arrest warrant way back in August 2020. What does Huang Yue do? He flees the country and goes on the run. But it isn't until November 23, 2021, that's over a year later, that Interpol issues the red notice. That gap, that's a huge challenge in international law enforcement. In that time, a fugitive can cross a bunch of borders, maybe even create a new identity, which just makes the chase that much harder.
Okay, so once that red notice is active, the global hunt is officially on. And this right here is where that seamless international teamwork becomes absolutely critical.
And this arrest, it wasn't just a stroke of luck, not at all. It was the result of a really meticulous process. You've got intelligence agencies sharing information, you've got analysts verifying all the leads, and then you have the local police in Khanh Hoa who have the authority and the resources to act on that information and to act on it fast.
And this quote right here is so important. It really highlights what a delicate dance these operations are. You're trying to pursue justice, but at the same time, you have to respect national sovereignty. Every single step has to be by the book, following both local laws and international agreements.
But you know, capturing the fugitive, that's really only half the battle. The final and super critical step is making sure they face justice back where the crime was actually committed.
And as you can see, this handover was like a highly choreographed operation. It's not just a simple handoff. First, he's arrested in Nha Trang. Then, he's escorted all the way to Long Son province. And finally, he's formally handed over to the Chinese police at the Hunigi International Border Gate. Every step was carefully planned and executed, officially closing this chapter of the investigation right there at the border.
So, the crucial point here is that a transnational criminal was brought to justice all thanks to effective global cooperation. I mean, this case is just a powerful reminder that in our super-connected world, crime knows no borders. But, and this is the important part, as this whole operation shows, neither does justice. This is exactly why organizations like Interpol are so essential, to make sure that the reach of the law is just as global as the criminals it's trying to catch.
So what does a case like this really reveal about the fight against transnational crime in the 21st century? Well, I think it shows that, yeah, criminals are getting more sophisticated, but so are the methods to catch them. In an age of global connectivity, it seems like there are fewer and fewer places to hide. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.